If you like the look of digital crafting but have always thought it's too complicated to learn, or maybe you just want to access images so you can start mixing pixels and paper and get hybrid crafting, then come with me to explore this super simple piece of software which you can trial for free called Scrapbook Max. Hi, I'm Jackson-mogford from MJM Design Studios, and I create digital craft collections, and I want to show you how easy it is to access all the images. And this will work for any digital craft downloads that you've got, CD-ROMs, even your own images, anything that is JPEG or PNG. Basically, if it acts like a photograph, then we can put it into this software. Today we're going to be using a piece of software called Scrapbook Max, and you can download it and trial it for free for 30 days to test drive it to see if it's for you. And you can download that at scrapbookmax.com. I'll put the link in the description below. And if you decide you really like it, then it's a really affordable $29 to actually buy the program. It also comes with its own craft content, and you can add craft content to it. But today we're just going to use it to access other images, so we can access all our digital images with this. I'm even going to show you how to make a 12 by 12 scrapbook page using only an A4 printer. So shall we go and have a look at the computer and get crafty? When you launch a Scrapbook Max software, you get this welcome page here. So we can open a saved scrapbook, so you can close a project if you're halfway through working on it and go back and work on it later, which is great. Or we can open a new scrapbook, which is what we're going to do now. You need to name your scrapbook in the bottom here. So you name your scrapbook there. We'll call this one Demo. Click OK, and that'll take us to our workspace. And this is an 8 by 8 page straight away. We can change the page sizes by going up to Page on the toolbar here. And from the drop down menu, we click Settings. And then in here, you'll see a tab here that says Size. And from the drop down menu there's loads of different sizes that you can play with. There's even a custom button down here, so you can put in any size that you want to, and you can change the properties of it, and then you could click OK, and that will change your page size to work on. So you can make a 7 by 5 card, or a 6 by 4, or a 6 by 6 page, or whatever it is you want to do. I'm just going to quickly go back and reset this to an 8 by 8 scrapbook page, because that's what we're going to work on today. So I'm just going to go ahead straight away and build a project, because you'll see all the different tools, well, a few of the different tools, and then it's up to you to explore if you think you want to give it a go. So the first way to insert images, to access our images into this software, is to look for the Add a Photo to the Page button here, which works like the insert image in a Word document or the Draw document. It works the same, it's just always a different symbol or a slightly different way of saying it. So we click that, and that's going to take us to all the folders that we have on our computer with our collection saved in it, anything that we want to access, all our digital images. So we're going to use the My Life's a Beach collection for this one. It comes as a 5-folder download, and what I've done is emptied each folder and put them into a complete kit, because it just makes life easier when you're building a project, when you're not inserting them into the software. So if we travel down the page here, you see loads and loads of different things, and I'm going to look for frames. So we're going to add the frames first. So when I'm scrapbooking, I do tend to start with my photographs first. I'm going to just select the first frame, hold the Control key down and select that frame there and click OK. And that's going to bring both of them frames onto the page at the same time. So you see now they are white, which is not helpful, is it, when I'm trying to show you something. But if we double click one of the images, so we'll double click Smile, that's going to take us to a properties box, and this is where we can start to manipulate the images. So we can add a shadow here. So if we click Shadow at the bottom here, you see straight away that's added a shadow to the image, and we can change that shadow by going to Settings. So if I just move that along, and you'll see the angle of it can change, so it can be shadowed top, bottom, left, right, wherever you want, wherever works for you. We can exaggerate the distance, so if I just put that to the side, you can see how far that can go out, like that. We can make it more transparent, and you can blur it as well, so it softens it off as well. So you get all them really cool sort of digital, the digital look with this program. So I'm just actually going to bring it in quite tight, and I'm going to take the transparency, take the blur up a little bit, take the transparency up a little bit. I'm happy with that one. Now if you leave global here, everything that you shadow would have the same shadow on it. So at the moment I'm happy to leave that global, because I'm going to do the same on the next frame. So we click OK, and then we click OK at the bottom of the box here, and that's added our shadow to that one. So if I double click the other shadow, the other frame here, and just click shadow, that's going to have exactly the same shadow on it because the global was selected, and we click there. So to turn your items on your page, you just hover your cursor over the nodule in one of the corners, press the left mouse button, and then you can spin it wherever you want to spin it to. So we're going to put this one at a jaunty angle. I'm going to take the size right down so it's not too dominant on the page, because we've got lots of goodies to add to the page. Put it about there, and I'm going to do the same here, but I'm going to spin it the other way round and make it roughly the same size, maybe just a tad smaller. Tip it up a little bit further straight. That'll do us. Okay, like that. So then the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to build some paper layers behind. Now I do tend to leave my background paper to the last minute, because I like to build up my images and see what the feel of it is to get the right background paper, because the background paper can dictate your work, or I find it does. So I'm going to pick up this wave paper here and click OK. Now because that's one image being inserted by itself, it's taking me straight to the properties box, and in here we can manipulate this paper further. So you'll see here it says custom shape. So if we tick that box and then click select, that's going to take us to these shapes, and they're basically like punches really. So you've got object shapes here, and you've got fancy shapes, so you can put edges onto things, you can cut them into different shapes. It's whatever's preloaded into the software. I'm going to pick up this circle here and click OK, and now you see a piece of paper has now become a circle with a little frame around it. I want to add a shadow to this to make it stand off the page. If I click shadow, it's applied the global shadow that we added to the frames, and that's too much for me. I don't like that on my paper layer. So I'm going to go to settings, and I'm going to untick global, because if I leave global on, it changes everything on the page at once. It's a great tool if you forget to shadow everything and you just go in at the last minute and click global, and everything gets shadowed all in one go. But I like to do it individually. So again, you can change the angle. We're going to drop the transparency and the distance down, and we'll take the blur right down. So it's just got a little edge of shadow on it, like that. And then I'm going to send it behind this photo frame here. And the way to do that is to go up to your arrange boxes up here, and they're on the second toolbar. So we can bring to front, bring forward, send backward, send to back. So send to back sends it all the way back, which is fine at the moment because we haven't got any other layers on. So that looks about right to me. And then we're going to add in some more papers here, a couple more layers. So we'll have the orange polka dot, hold the control key down, select the yellow paper, and OK, they come on at the same, both together, but you need to click off of them to get rid of the selection box to be able to separate them. So remember to just click off of them. So the yellow we're going to keep square. I'm going to shrink it down a little bit, and I'm going to send it all the way back so it's behind the blue as well, and just so it sits, so it pops that photo frame off. I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger there, like that. And then this orange polka dot, I'm just going to want to strip. So the way to do a strip is I'm going to double click this and go to crop, so we can make this a strip. So it says crop here, and you need to untick this. Unless you're keeping the same aspect ratio, you need to untick that, and I don't want it to keep the same because I just want to push this up to crop it into a strip like that. And then I'm going to click OK. So there's my strip there, like that. And then what I need to do is I need to add a shadow to them. So let's just send this one back. I'm just going to go back, keep clicking the send back button until it's there. So double click the yellow, we'll add the shadow. It's a bit too deep again. So we go over here, take the global off, reduce the distance, transparency and blur. That looks okay. And let's do the same for the orange paper as well. So shadow, settings, distance in, transparency in and blur in. Okay and okay. There we go. So it might be a bit dark, but you can go back and adjust, fine tune that later on. So I need to put some photographs into my frames. So again, I'm going to go to the add photo here, but I need to go back to my pictures, and then I'm opening live speech, and I've got some photographs here. So it's wherever the photographs are on your computer. Again, hold the control key down. They're both going to go in at the same time. Obviously, the original orientation of these was sideways, which is why they've remained sideways. A bit odd, but there you go. Double click the photograph, and I need to crop this to a square shape so it's going to fit into that frame. So again, I'm going to use the crop tool here. I'm going to take the aspect ratio off, and I'm just going to crop down on the top here. And I'm going to crop the side in a little bit to make it a kind of square shape. So it's a bit of a guesstimate. Click OK. I'm going to take it over to my frame, turn it on the corner like that. And then, of course, we need to shrink it right down to fit in that frame. So that's looking pretty good. Just need to go down a bit further because I don't want it to be shown on the smile, because it's a cutout, that smile thing. The word there is cut out. So just squish it a little bit and then send it backwards. So I keep pressing backwards till it goes behind the frame. Then my top tip would be to group these together. So click the photograph again. Hold your control key down and click the frame, then right click, and in the pop out, click group. That photograph and frame now move as one unit. So if you want to move it later on, you're not going to have to do them as separate things. There is an undo button in the program as well. So I'm just going to undo to put that photograph back to where I lifted it from. So very quickly go back to this photograph, take the aspect ratio off. We'll take a little bit off the bottom, a little bit off the top, and a little bit off the side. Click OK. Over to the frame, spin it round, and then we're just going to shrink that down till it fits in the frame nicely. And again, that's a cutout word at the bottom, so I don't want to go behind there. And we'll just click backwards. And while that photo's selected, control key, click the frame, right click, group, and that's one unit now. So there's the basis of my page. So now I want to add on some embellishments, obviously. So again, now within the software, you do get collections, and that's where you would get the elements from the collections within software, but we're adding our own images. So this is accessing our own images. So let's open this up again, and I'm going to work from the bottom because I know that there's a lot at the bottom that I want. And I'm just going to hold the control key down, and I'm just going to select the images that I want to use on my page. So we'll have the spade and the seashell, seagulls and a wave, and a Union Jack sandcastle flag and a sandcastle to go with it, and some sand. And then moving up, we're going to pick up, let's have an ice cream and crab, chocolate flake. We'll have the camera and the bucket. I think that's it, and click OK. So obviously this is going to take a little while to process because there's a lot of images coming onto the page at once. Now again, these have all come on together. We can't shrink them down until we've grouped them. So they'll move as one unit until we click off of the images. So if we right click them again and click that group button, they're going to now move as one unit. And it also means we can resize them because we know we need them quite small. So we'll resize them all in one go, and then that saves a lot of time. Right click again, and this time we ungroup. So we ungroup the images, click off of the selection, and then we can start to separate out the images like this. So we're going to place them on the grey area. Use your grey area like your craft table. It's a really useful thing to do because then you can see all your embellishments you can see what you've got to work with, and maybe you add embellishments on that you're not really sure if you want to have on, and it just reminds you that they're there. And some of these have gone really diddy when I've shrunk them down, but that's fine because we can expand them out again. So there we go. They're all separated out. So this is now like my craft table that I can work on. So let's just build up some elements around the page. So we'll have, I'm going to put the windmill there. We'll have the bucket. Now things will be behind things and when they don't want to be, because obviously things have come on in different order. So remember your arrange buttons up on the top here. So I'm just going to bring that one to the front. So if you see things moving around, that's all I'm doing. So I'm not going to explain it on each one. Oh, that went a little bit big. And we'll bring him all the way to the front like this. Let's bring on this piece of sand very carefully because he'll change shape otherwise. Let's expand him out and have him going across the page like that. And I want the bucket to sit behind it and I want the spade to sit on it. So let's bring that forward one. In fact, let's bring it all the way forward and then send it back one. That's the way to do it. Sometimes it's easier to do it all the way one way, the opposite way to what you want to do it, if that makes sense. It'll make sense later when I do it again. Maybe. And let's make this sandcastle bigger here and we'll sit him about there. I've got to have the flag in the sandcastle. So we'll bring that down to make it smaller, and then that connects that polka dot with the sandcastle quite nicely. And we'll send that one back. I'm going to send it all the way back and then bring it forward, because that's quicker. So it looks like it's in the sandcastle rather than floating on the top of it. Let's bring the sandcastle over and then I can bring that over. And let's have a wave because we are by the seaside and it connects the wave material from the other side of the layout as well. I'm going to send that all the way back just as a little bit of decor in the background. So we're looking a bit lopsided at the moment, but that's fine. We'll work on the other side in a minute. So I'm double click the wave. I want to add a shadow to it so it stands out, but not too hard because it's right at the back. So the way I'm going to do that is to blur it. Let's take the distance down. Let's move the angle and increase the transparency like that. Click OK and click OK. Now I've left global on, so can you see that paper has changed to a different setting because it's selected that one as well. So I'm just going to go straight back in here, just change that global, change the transparency, change the blur on it and change the angle. You see? Do what I say, not as I do. Okay, so happy with that at the moment. So we're just going to click the spade. We're just going to start adding shadows. So settings, I don't want that one on. Take the blur down. Transparency up. And we want to move the angle. That's what we want to do. Click OK. Click OK. Same for the bucket. So we need to take that off. And take transparency down and the blur down. Move that so you can see it. Click OK and OK. So there we go. And lastly, windmill needs one. So we'll do that and that. We'll click OK. And I left global on that. So you get the idea. If you leave global on, it's just going to go, it's going to apply it to everything or the last thing that was touched. But I'm not going to go back over. So let's stop this being lopsided or right hand heavy. And we'll add the camera in underneath our smile. And we'll add the sunglasses onto this side here. So we can just shrink them down like that. Let Mr. Crab join the two, sort of the two sides together, if you like. So he's going to go over both things. So it goes over the edge of the camera and over the edge of the sand, and that kind of joins the whole lot together. I'm going to put my ice cream between the photographs here. So let's make it slightly bigger. We'll turn it like this, and then we'll just send this backwards till it's right. Let's make it just a tad bigger again, I think. And then we've got to have a 99 at the beach, haven't we? So let's put the chocolate flake in here. In fact, I'm just going to make the ice cream a bit smaller like that. And we'll bring the chocolate flake in, let's turn it, shrink it down, and we'll send that all the way back, and then we'll just bring it forward because there's less layers to bring forward on. And what I'm going to do is just very quickly add the shadow to the chocolate flake, and we'll add a shadow to the ice cream. And then while the ice cream's selected, hold Control, click the flake, right click and group. So that's now one unit. And because they were at different positions in the forward and backward stakes, it has disappeared behind. So I'll just bring forward one again. Okay, so let's bring on just a little bit more decoration. So we've got a starfish here, and we can spin him round. So it's just like building any craft project or scrap page or whatever it is. This is great for making mini books and albums as well, because in a minute I'm going to show you how you duplicate your pages, so that if you've got like a basic design that you really like and want to continue through a mini album or a scrapbook, then it's just a really good way to remember what you did actually and not have to do all the work again. So maybe the paper layers that we've got here, you can keep them. You could maybe change the colour on them, which you can do within the software as well. So it just gives it a cohesive look to your to scrapbooks and mini books. Let's bring that forward. So I'm not going to add the shadows on there because you get the idea of how the shadows work. Let's bring Seagull here. I am actually going to add a shadow to him to make him stand out. And we'll have the seagull here flying in. Oh, mutant seagull, a bit too big. I want him facing the other way, and the way to do that within this program is to right click and go to effects in the drop down menu. So you'll see there's loads of different effects you can do. There's effects you can put on your photographs, there's an eraser, there's all sorts of things. But we're just going to flip this. Now, is he flipped vertically or horizontally? I always get this confused. Not vertically, Michelle. I always get them confused. So there we go. So we'll go horizontally, and he's facing the other way now. I always do that. And we'll just add a bit of a shadow to him. So then what we need to do is add a title to our page and some words. So we're going to use the word art that's in the kit. So let's go to Insert Image. If we go down to the bottom, there's all my word tags, and I shall just pick up the ones that I want. And we'll have that one, and that one. Click OK. And again, right click and group, and then we can resize. They'll still need resizing anyway, but it just saves a bit of time. Group. And then we're going to have Splash is going to come over here. And this is one of them cases where I want to send it all the way back and then bring it forward till it appears, because it's less layers for it to get through. We'll have Sandy Toes up above, like that. Let's get to the corner so I can turn it. At a jaunty angle, again, send it back, and then we'll bring it forward. And then we'll have Sun and Fun down here. I do like word tags. I think they're really good fun, and I think you can say a lot on a page with them. Oh, brought it all the way forward then. There we go. We'll have O. Now, I don't know why it does that. If you stretch it too far, it just won't undo. So I'm just going to delete, and I will just go back and pick up that word tag again, like that. So you don't lose anything, and that's the beauty of digital crafting, is that you make a mistake, the image is still there for you to go back and pick up again. So I'd have to say cheese over here, and we'll bring that forward over the frame, and again we'll do the same with the Hello Sunshine. Shrink it down a smidge, send to the back, bring forward till it's in place, like that. Oh, and again one more. There we go. And then the Happy Summer Days will be kind of like my title, so I'm going to make it bigger, and then we'll send that all the way back, and then it's just sitting under that piece of sand which I am going to add a shadow to like that, so you can see it hanging over the edge of that word block. So I haven't shadowed everything, but you get the idea on how that works. Now it's right up to the edges here, so I want to bring the whole design in a little bit, but without changing the size of everything. So if I draw an imaginary box around it with the left side of my mouse, with my cursor, I can then right click and group, and that's now all going to be one unit, so I can shrink everything down at the same time, move it and center it to my page like that. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some text. So there is a text tool here, we can add captions, so I'm going to click that one, and this is within the software, this feature. So I want to just add a date to my page, so let's just pick this one here. We can change the colour like that, and we'll write July 2018. I would also write Seaton Carew, which is where it was, but just to save time and just give you the idea of how that works, and then you can shrink that down to there and move it into place. And then one last little bit of embellishment I want to do before I add my paper is the little sandy footprint here. I don't want to add a shadow to that because it wouldn't work. Let's turn it and shrink it down so it looks like little bear prints, and it just sort of gives a bit more depth to the page. So we do that. I'm going to right click because I want two of these, but that size, copy, and then just off of it, click it and paste like that. Go to the effects here and flip. Yeah, got it right. Flip horizontal. So a little pair of feet walking up the page like that. So finally we're going to add our background paper. So add photo again. Go down the page here. I'm going to pick this paper because I don't want it too dominant. I quite like the stripes. I don't want a patterned one because there's a lot going on. But let's have this one here. So okay. Now while it's in this box here, I'm going to go back to that custom shape and I'm going to give it a ripped edge. So we click select, and up at the top I know is one that I really like, which is this one here, and click OK. And then I am going to add a shadow to this one. Go to settings, take global off, and I just want a very, very subtle shadow on here. So I'm going to take the distance down and take the transparency right up, take the blur down. It'll just give it a little bit of a lift on the page, and click OK. And then you simply size it up like that. It's a little bit big. Size it up like that, and then send it right the way back like that. So that's it. That's the page done. So you can print that off. You can save it electronically and email it to friends, or send as e-cards, or whatever you want to do with it. You can also print it off and hybrid craft with it, and the easiest way to do that would be to go to page again up at the top here, and you'll see duplicate here. You can add pages to your projects as well, so you can see duplicate here. So we duplicate the page, and we do that several times. There is method in my madness. And you'll have seen me do this with other programs if you've seen any of my other Access All Images videos. So the page 1 is the page, we'll keep it as is. On page 2, I would click the paper background, and then hold the control. No, in fact, what I'll do is I'll click the text, click the footprint while holding the control key down, select both of them, and click the paper, right click and group. Just move that out the way for now. So then I can put an imaginary box around my embellishments here, and I can delete them all in one go. And then I can move my paper back on like that and get it centered. And then I would just print off my background, go to page 3, and then remove the footprint and the little bit of typing and the background paper. And then what I do is ungroup these, we've had them grouped before, and then you separate your elements out like this, and whatever doesn't get put onto this page gets put onto the next page. So you separate your elements out to print yourself off element sheets, You get the idea, don't you? And remove your shadows so you can double that. Now you can't shadow things when they're grouped together, so I'm quite glad I did that. That's why I haven't been doing it all in one go, so it'll tell you can't do that, so I'd have to ungroup them to remove that shadow. But if I show you on the seagull, you just literally untick the shadow box and click OK. So you've got a flat image. You can leave the shadow on and cut the shadow out if you want to. You can put these to your electronic die cutting machines as well, you know, the scan and cut ones, or the silhouette, whatever it is that you've got, and you can cut things out that way. So you can make an element sheet up that way. And then the last thing I want to show you, bear with, is this is an 8x8 page, but maybe we want 12x12 pages and we've only got an A4 printer. And this is, I think this is a really good way to do it. So it's splitting your background papers up into A4s, but your elements will go to 12x12. So with page 1 open, I'm going to go to page again, and I'm going to go to settings. And in here, I can change this to a 12x12 page and click OK. It's asking me if I want to change everything on the layout in relation to that. And that's now a 12x12 page. So if I zoom out of the page here, so it's smaller in the screen, so that's just done down here. You see the percentage, and you've got an arrow, and then you can make the zoom whatever size you want to. So you can zoom in when you're working on things. Draw an imaginary box around everything, right click and group. So after we've grouped everything together on our 12x12, we need to then right click and copy. Then we need to go to File here and try open a new scrapbook. It's asking me if I want to save my changes to this project, so I say yes. You can't have more than one project open at a time. Then that allows me to open up another project. So we'll call this one a 12x12 demo. Click enter. The page is 8x8 and we want an A4 page, so we go to page, settings, size. And the measurements in here, there isn't an A4 page here because this is American size paper settings in here. So we just need to put in our own values in the. We need to make a custom page here, and we need to put 8.268 in there, and this one needs to be 11.693, and that's inches, obviously. And then click OK. Now we've got an A4 page. Now we can click on our A4 page and we can click paste. It'll take a little while because obviously there's a lot of information being transferred across on this pasting. But you'll see that the 12x12 page that we made has now dropped into this project. So because this is an A4, we have to be mindful of our printer settings as well. So you see that it would be, if you can't print borderless, it will be off the page. So we'll just shrink it down a little bit, but everything's going to move at the same, and that would fit onto an A4 page. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to right click and ungroup. Bear with, this will all make sense. And then because our elements were grouped before, they're still grouped now. If they weren't, you just delete all these images. So we just delete them off the page like this. Then we're going to double click on our background paper. We'll remove the shadow, and then we're going to crop it. So crop, untick the aspect ratio box, and we're going to crop it this way in. And I know that the green line down here is about halfway on my paper, so I'm just going to crop it to just beyond there and click OK. It does move it on the page, but all you need to do is move it back over. So then that's the right hand side of the paper there. I'm going to we need to add in a page here, so we just add in another page, call it page 2, yes, and I'm going to paste back on that whole scrapbook page there like that. In fact, while that's there, what I'm going to do is page, and I'm going to duplicate again, just like we did before. So duplicate it, they'll just save pasting it every time. So going back to page 2, again ungroup, and then delete off our embellishments, double click our paper, shadows, crop, untick, and this time we're going to crop that way on. So we get the other side of the paper, click OK, bring that onto there like that, So that will be the other half of your 12 by 12. And then I didn't shrink that one down, but you remember to shrink it down, and then just delete them bits off. Then page 3, you would ungroup again. You get the idea, you know exactly what I'm going to say now, don't you? Delete the paper, delete the footprint, and you just click the delete key on your keyboard. I don't know if I've said that, but that's how you delete that. And then we'll ungroup our images here, and then again you just space them out and start to build an element sheet. And then you print them off, and then you can do a hybrid 12 by 12 scrap page, because we've shrunk it, we've made it into A4 printable pages. So if you haven't got a 12 by 12 printer and you would like to make 12 by 12 scrapbook pages, it is possible by using your A4 printer. I've printed off the pages that we've created in the Scrapbook Max software. So here's the 8 by 8 scrap page that we did, and this is how it prints off onto an A4 paper. And of course we separated all the elements out, so we could make a hybrid version of this scrap page, again using the software as a designer, so you know that everything is exactly the right size from the design that we created on the computer. So you can add your dimension with hybrid, or like I say, you can leave it flat digital, and then I've just mounted this onto some card to give it some stability. That could go onto an easel or into a photo frame. It was a great gift. And then we took it that stage further and we enlarged our design to 12 by 12 size. So here we have the printout from the 12 by 12. So here's our A4 paper that would make up our 12 by 12 background. It'll be just slightly less than 12 by 12, and so you just mount it onto a piece of 12 by 12 cardstock. But if you cut down near the edge of here, we know that that's going to line up perfectly. So then you would just overlap them to stick them together to make the square paper there. Your paper elements are exactly the right size for 12 by 12 because it increased the size of it, as are all your embellishments and your photographs. So they're all going to fit exactly. Now what you could do, of course, is you could just print off some A4 sheets of these papers, and then you can change your mind on the shape of them or the design of them or whatever. But you can either use it as a design tool so you're not wasting any ink when you're printing things off, or you can just print off your own paper pads and your own embellishment pads and then go to town. And I just want to quickly show you what the 12 by 12 looks like when it's made up. So this is my 12 by 12 version of this. This is the 8 by 8 digital, and then we've got the 12 by 12 hybrid. And you can see the join, I don't know if you'll actually see it, but if you look closely, there is the join there, but it's not really obvious because we've joined it down the stripe in the paper. You can cover joins up with embellishments or ribbons or anything like that. Then you can add your dimension with your foam pads or your silicone glues. You can add your pearls, you can add doodles, you can do whatever you want. This is just a craft tool for you to go and get crafty with. So once you can access all images from your digital downloads, the sky's the limit. So you can see how easy it is to access all images using Scrapbook Max, a super simple piece of software that really packs a punch and allows you to become the designer of your own crafty projects. And digital crafting is a great resource. It's endless because you never run out of your favourite paper or your favourite embellishment. Once you have it, it's there to hand at any time, whenever the crafty need strikes. And with so many different printable mediums out there, the possibilities are endless. T-shirt printing, bag printing, printed onto cotton or canvases, a load of different papers and cards that's out there on the market, printable acetate, printable shrink plastic, the list goes on and on. So it's a really lovely, crafty world to explore, and it doesn't take away from your scissors and glue, it just adds to your crafty toolbox. If you would like any of my craft collections, then please visit my Etsy shop, which is MJM Design Studios, and I'll put the link in the description down below. And while you're there, please subscribe and click the bell for notification of videos coming soon. Thanks for stopping by and watching this video. I hope it's been helpful, and I hope you enjoy getting crafty with your pixel and paper, or even just leaving it digital. Whatever it is you choose to do, have a fantastic time, and until soon, happy crafting!